Melbourne train history. 1854 to 1878. Gold and steam. The settlement that would become Melbourne was established on the 30th of August, 1835. Hitherto part of New South Wales, Victoria was established as an independent colony in 1851, with Melbourne as its capital. Literally within days, gold was discovered, and the fledgling colony boomed. The gold wealth will fuel the age of the private railway companies, and a frenzy of railway construction. From the beginning in 1854, Victoria commits to 1600mm broad gauge. Australia's railway gauge schizophrenia begins a year later, when New South Wales chooses British standard gauge of 1435mm. The 13th of September, 1854. Just 19 years after Melbourne was founded, the Melbourne and Hobsons Bay Railway Company opens the first steam railway in Australia, what will become the Port Melbourne line, between Flinders Street and Sandridge, later Port Melbourne. At the time, Flinders Street Station was also referred to as Melbourne Terminus and Melbourne, Flinders Street. The 13th of May, 1857. The Melbourne and Hobsons Bay Railway Company opens the St Kilda line between Flinders Street and St Kilda. The 25th of June, 1857. The Geelong and Melbourne Railway Company officially opens the Geelong line, including part of what will become the Werribee line, between Geelong and Greenwich, with one intermediate station in Melbourne, Werribee. The short-lived Greenwich station, located in or near what is now Greenwich Reserve in Newport, connects to boats at the company's jetty on the Yarra. The 3rd of October, 1857. Victorian Railways opens the outer section of what will become the Williamstown line, terminating at Pier Station, later Williamstown Pier. Greenwich Station closes, and the Werribee-Geelong line is redirected on to the new tracks, with trains terminating at Pier Station. The Melbourne Mount Alexander and Murray River Railway Company had commenced building a line between Spencer Street and Williamstown, but by 1856, the company had achieved little and was financially faltering. The government purchase of the failing company on the 23rd of May, 1856, established the Victorian Department of Railways, officially Victorian Railways from 1883. Work on this section of the Williamstown line was expedited, and was the first to see service. The 16th of September, 1858. Emerald Hill Station, later South Melbourne, opens on the St Kilda line. The 17th of January, 1859. Victorian Railways completes the Williamstown line, connecting Werribee-Geelong and Williamstown to Melbourne's second city terminus, Spencer Street Station, later Southern Cross. At the time, Spencer Street Station was also referred to as Batman's Hill and Melbourne Terminus. The 17th of January, 1859. On the same day, the line is opened through to Spencer Street Station. Williamstown Station opens on the Williamstown line. The 24th of January, 1859. The first Footscray station opens on the Werribee-Williamstown lines, located at Napier Street. The 1st of February, 1859. North Williamstown station opens on the Williamstown line. The 2nd of February, 1859. Raglan Street Station, later North Port, opens on the Port Melbourne line. The 8th of February, 1859. The Melbourne and Suburban Railway Company opens the first section of what will become the Sandringham line, between Punt Road Station, located just west of its namesake, and Melbourne's third city terminus, Princes Bridge. Princes Bridge Station is just across Swanston Street from Flinders Street Station, but the two are unconnected. The 10th of February, 1859. Victorian Railways opens the Sunbury line, between Spencer Street and Sunbury, another project taken over from the failed Melbourne Mount Alexander and Murray River Railway Company. The 1st of March, 1859. Geelong Junction Station, later Newport, opens on the Werribee-Williamstown lines. The 1st of March, 1859. The second Footscray station, later the first Middle Footscray, opens on the Sunbury line, located at Nicholson Street. To differentiate the two Footscray stations on different lines but just 200 metres apart, the original at Napier Street is referred to as Footscray, Suburban, and the new station is referred to variously as Footscray, Main Line, or Footscray, Country. The 1st of March, 1859. Keilor Road Station, later Sydenham, opens on the Sunbury line, located just south of what is now the Melton Highway. The 2nd of March, 1859. Botanic Gardens Station opens on what will become the Sandringham line. Located at the western end of the Melbourne Cricket Ground, services only stop at the station on Wednesday afternoons and weekends. The 1st of October, 1859. Saltwater River Station opens on the Sunbury Werribee Williamstown lines. Located between Kensington Road and Saltwater River, an early name for the Maribyrnong, the station provides access to Flemington Racecourse. The 2nd of October, 1859. Diggers Rest Station opens on the Sunbury line. The name of the town, and station, was inspired by the many hopeful prospectors who broke their journey to the goldfields here. The 6th of October, 1859. North Melbourne Station opens on the Sunbury Werribee Williamstown lines. The 12th of December, 1859. The Melbourne and Suburban Railway Company extends what will become the Sandringham line, from Punt Road to Cremorne, with one intermediate station, Swan Street, later Richmond. Punt Road station closes. Swan Street station is located on the south side of its namesake, and Cremorne is located just north of Balmain Street. The 19th of December, 1859. The St Kilda and Brighton Railway Company opens a line between St Kilda and Bay Street, later North Brighton, including part of what will become the Sandringham line, with 3 intermediate stations, Chapel Street, later Windsor, Balaclava, and Elstonwick. The 5th of January, 1860. Albion and Darlington Station, later the modern Albion, opens on the Sunbury line. The 5th of January, 1860. Holden Station opens on the Sunbury line, located north of Holden Road. The 3rd of September, 1860. Victorian Railways purchases the Geelong and Melbourne Railway Company. The company had been consistently operating at a loss, and would likely have failed without government intervention. The 24th of September, 1860. The Melbourne and Suburban Railway Company opens the first section of what will become the Lilydale line, between Swan Street, later Richmond, and Picnic, with one intermediate station, Church Street, later East Richmond. Picnic Station is located in what is now Burnley Park. The 1st of November, 1860. The Melbourne and Essendon Railway Company opens the first section of what will become the Craigieburn line, between North Melbourne and Essendon, with 4 intermediate stations, Kensington, Newmarket, Ascot Vale, and Moonee Ponds. The 27th of November, 1860. Butts Station, later Albert Park, opens on the St Kilda line. The 22nd of December, 1860. The Melbourne and Suburban Railway Company extends its section of what will become the Sandringham line, from Cremorne to Chapel Street, later Windsor, with 2 intermediate stations, Gardners Creek Road, later South Yarra, and Greville Street, later Paran. Cremorne station closes. The new connection provides direct access to the city for Brighton passengers. The 26th of December, 1860. The first Williamstown Racecourse station opens on the Werribee line, located at the top of Fink Street. The racecourse itself is over a kilometre away, in what is now Altona Coastal Park. The 31st of December, 1860. Albion and Darlington Station, later the modern Albion, on the Sunbury line closes. The 31st of December, 1860. Holden Station on the Sunbury line closes. The 28th of February, 1861. The Melbourne and Essendon Railway Company opens the Flemington Racecourse line between Newmarket and Flemington Racecourse. The 2nd of March, 1861. Maidstone Station opens on the Sunbury line, located adjacent to what is now Matthews Hill Reserve. The 13th of April, 1861. The Melbourne and Suburban Railway Company extends what will become the Lilydale line from Picnic to Hawthorn. The 8th of July, 1861. Victorian Railways extends what will become the Bendigo line from Sunbury to Woodend. In stages, the line will reach Bendigo by the 21st of October, 1862. The 21st of December, 1861. The St Kilda and Brighton Railway Company extends its section of what will become the Sandringham line from Bay Street, later North Brighton, to Beach, later Brighton Beach, with one intermediate station, Church Street, later Middle Brighton. There are now 2 stations in Melbourne called Church Street, one in Richmond and one in Brighton. The 1st of January, 1862. Botanic Gardens Station on what will become the Lilydale-Sandringham lines closes. The 31st of March, 1862. The newly formed Melbourne Railway Company purchases the Melbourne and Suburban Railway Company. Though the latter had been operating profitably, shareholders were impatient to realise a return on their investment. The 1st of October, 1862. The line between St Kilda and Chapel Street, later Windsor, closes. On the 1st of May, 1862, the Melbourne Railway Company and the St Kilda and Brighton Railway Company had agreed to pool their rolling stock. The former then began operating through services from Prince's Bridge to Beach, later Brighton Beach. The more direct service rendered the line redundant, and it will be dismantled by August 1867. The 1st of July, 1864. The Essendon and Flemington Racecourse lines close. The Melbourne and Essendon Railway Company failed to be profitable, and when a request to the Victorian government for a buyout is rejected, it ceases operation. The 1st of April, 1865. Maidstone Station on the Sunbury line closes. The 30th of June, 1865. The Melbourne and Hobsons Bay United Railway Company is formed from the merger of the Melbourne and Hobsons Bay and Melbourne Railway Companies. The 1st of September, 1865. The Melbourne and Hobsons Bay United Railway Company purchases the St Kilda and Brighton Railway Company. The 16th of December, 1865. The Melbourne and Hobsons Bay United Railway Company opens tracks under Swanston Street, connecting Flinders Street and Prince's Bridge stations, and consolidating its operations into a single network. The 1st of October, 1866. Prince's Bridge Station closes to passenger services. When tracks under Swanston Street opened the previous December, Flinders Street was to handle all passenger traffic, while Prince's Bridge would act as a freight terminal. After 3 days of congestion and confusion, previous operations resumed. The station finally closed to passengers once changes to the adjoining yards, and a new platform at Flinders Street were completed. The 1st of January, 1867. Swan Street Station on what will become the Lilydale-Sandringham lines is renamed Richmond. The 1st of January, 1867. Church Street Station on what will become the Lilydale line is renamed East Richmond. The 1st of January, 1867. Raglan Street Station, later North Port, on the Port Melbourne line is renamed North Sandridge. The 1st of January, 1867. On what will become the Sandringham line, Gardeners Creek Road Station is renamed South Yarra, Greville Street Station is renamed Paran, Chapel Street Station is renamed Windsor, Bay Street Station is renamed North Brighton, Church Street Station is renamed Middle Brighton, and Beach Station is renamed Brighton Beach. The 31st of October, 1867. Victorian Railways reopens the Flemington Racecourse line, between North Melbourne and Flemington Racecourse, with no intermediate stations. Victorian Railways had finally purchased the assets of the defunct Melbourne and Essendon Railway Company on the 27th of August, 1867, and reopening the racecourse line was expedited in time for the Melbourne Cup. The 1st of January, 1869. Geelong Junction Station, later Newport, on the Werribee-Williamstown lines is renamed Williamstown Junction. By convention, a junction station is named for the lesser branch, the Geelong line when the station opened, but the Williamstown line by this date. The 1st of January, 1870. Saltwater River Station on the Sunbury-Werribee-Williamstown lines closes, made redundant by the reopening of the Flemington Racecourse line. The 9th of January, 1871. Victorian Railways reopens the line between North Melbourne and Essendon, part of what will become the Craigieburn line, including 4 intermediate stations: Kensington, Newmarket, Ascot Vale, and Moonee Ponds. The 20th of November, 1871. South Footscray Station, later Yarraville, opens on the Werribee-Williamstown lines. The 18th of April, 1872. Victorian Railways extends what will become the Craigieburn and Seymour lines, from Essendon to Schoolhouse Lane, near Seymour. The line will reach Seymour by the 26th of August, 1872. The 1st of July, 1872. Butts Station, on the St Kilda line is renamed Albert Park. The 22nd of July, 1872. Craigieburn Station opens on the Craigieburn line. The 1st of February, 1873. Broadmeadows Station opens on the Craigieburn line. The 8th of October, 1877. Victorian Railways opens the Gippsland line, including the outer section of what will become the Pakenham line, between Oakleigh and Bunyip, with 3 intermediate stations in Melbourne: Dandenong, Berwick, and Pakenham. In stages, the line will reach Traralgon and Sale by the 1st of March, 1878. The 1st of July, 1878. Victorian Railways purchases the operations of the Melbourne and Hobsons Bay United Railway Company, all but ending the era of private railways in Melbourne. Coming next, Melbourne train history, 1878 to 1888. A tale of 2 Melbournes.